Pork rinds, also known as pork skins, is a type of food products that we all enjoy a lot. When we say pork rind, most of you will probably think of the crispy roasted pork skin we usually have in Chinese restaurants. However, there are actually a wide range of food products produced from pork rinds around the world that you might not know about. We thought the pork rind would be an interesting food product to explore, as this is such an exotic and unique food. We are now going to explore several topics today. Firstly, some facts about pork rinds, the general trade pattern, the production and processing of pork rinds, and its consumption culture around the globe. So pork skin obviously is the skin of a pig. It is common to use pork skin to improve consistency in sausages. Fried pork rind is also a popular snack in countries like the US. In Chinese cuisines, the pork skin is roasted or fried. So when we think of pork rinds, we might associate it with unhealthy food. It is true that for fried pork and snacks, like many snack food, contain high sodium and fat. However, they are low in carbohydrates and are sometimes considered an alternative snack food for those following the Atkins diet. According to Men's Health, a 28 grams serving of pork rind contains 9 times the protein and less fat than it is found in a serving of potato chips, which are much higher in carbohydrates. Also, 43% of pork rind's fat is unsaturated and will not raise cholesterol level in a person. And most of that is oleic acid, the same healthy fat found in olive oil. So even though pork rinds are considered an incomplete source of protein, it is in general not unhealthy to eat if cooked in a healthy way. So now let us have a look at the trade pattern of pork and pork products to get a glimpse into the demand for pork rinds. In recent years, the global trading of pork products have been flourishing. The US and China are two countries that have been the largest market shares in the pork market. The US export of pork in 2014 was 2.18 million metric tons, increasing by 1,550% in value and 1,268% in volume since 1988. As you can see in this graph, the value of pork imports by China has risen by 3.7 times from 2009 to 2011. The demand for pork rinds and meat products such as sausages also follow a similar pattern. So why is it such a drastic increase? The reasons could well be the increasing demand for processed food that is convenient to consume. The rise in demand for sausages also explains the increased demand for pork rind, since pork rind is one of its ingredients. Also, pork rind is a good option for snacks due to its good taste and nutrition value. So following trade, let us move on into the origin of pork rind around the globe. In the West, pork rind is usually deep-fried as a snack in leisure time. It is believed that this deep-fried pork rind, often called pork scratchings, was originated in England. During the Industrial Revolution, food for the poor was scarce, so no part of food would be wasted. Families in the working class came up with the idea of utilizing every part of their kept pigs, that is, cooking pork rind as well. Because of its nutrition value and great taste, pork rinds become wildly popular throughout the country, including the middle class. Pork cracklings was commercially sold in large scale in the 1930s. It has evolved from the blessing of the poor to a well-loved of snacks enjoyed by all classes and ages in England. Over 20 million bags were sold throughout England each year. So now let us take a look in the East. Pork rind is usually served as a formal dish in meals in the East. In hard times along the history, cooking oil and fats were considered as luxuries. Pork rind, together with lard, would be a perfect substitute to obtain protein and lipid. Another interesting point to note is that the quality of pork rind is often a standard to grade the quality of a roasted suckling pig. Roasted suckling pig is a symbol in Chinese culture, and nowadays you can see it in many important occasions. As far as 1,500 years ago, there were written records listing the requirements for cooking pork rinds, like the crispiness and its color. So how is pork rinds generally being processed around the world? In general, for the large-scale production of commercial pork rinds, frozen, dry pork skin pellets are used. They are first rehydrated in water with added flavoring. It is then fried in pork fats at around 200 to 210 degrees Celsius. These makes the rind expand and float on the oil surface. The rinds are then removed from the fat, flavored and air-dried. It is then sold in bags. For pickled pork rinds, they're eaten cold. They're very rich and buttery, unlike the crispiness of fried pork rinds. The food consumption culture and production of pork rinds varies in different countries. So let me give you some examples from countries that are prominent consumers and producers of pork rinds. In Mexico, pork rinds is known as chicharron. Mexico is one of the world's largest producers and consumers of pork rinds. Pork rinds in Mexico are usually attached with fat when being consumed. It is very common for Mexicans to fry pork rinds at home. It is sometimes served as soup, appetizers, or even snacks. They can also be purchased on the street, dipping it with hot sauce and lime juice. Another dish made from pork rind in Mexico is churritos. They are more soft and chewy, as they are not heavily cooked, unlike the chicharron, which is very crispy and often overcooked. They are often served fresh or marinated with vinegar and onion. Pork rinds play an important role in Mexican food culture. Chicharron is a typical breakfast in Mexico. They are also often served in family reunions. Lastly, pork rind is also an important part of the Mexican fast food culture too, as they are easily available in the streets in Mexico, which are sold by butchers and convenience stores. There are mainly two ways to serve pork rinds in the UK. The first method would be the pork skin is first cut from a freshly roasted joint of a pork. It can be served warm or hot, before the fat on the underside of the roasted skin can finish cooling and re-solidifying. The second method would be to serve pork rind is to fry it, and this is called pork crackling. It's made from pork shoulders rind. So after the pig hair is removed by quickly burning the skin of a pig, the pork skin is cut into pieces. It is then salted and rendered at a low heat. Then it is cooked at a higher temperature for a less fatty, crispier result. Lastly, it is deep fried twice in the hot fat. The crackling being produced is heavy and hot, with a crispy layer of fat underneath the skin. Pork scratchings in the UK are sold as snack food just like in the US. It is a common food that can be bought almost everywhere in the supermarket and butcher, either in raw or for home grilling or roasting, or it has been already cooked and ready to eat. However, unlike the large package of pork rinds sold around the world, the ones in the UK are sold in relatively small bags. Pork scratchings play a big role in the pub and bar culture in the UK, as they are often served as an accompaniment to beers for free in pubs. In Vietnam, pork rinds used to be a very common food before the Doi Mai program in 1986. Due to the economic difficulty before the Doi Mai era, cooking oil and meat were considered as a luxurious good in Vietnam. Therefore, fat liquid and pork rind acted as a replacement for these luxurious foods. Nowadays, with a much better economic situation, pork rind is no longer a substitute for food, but rather as a special ingredient in many Vietnam dishes such as noodles and snails. So let us shift our focus back to where we are, in Hong Kong. In Hong Kong, pork rind is a very famous dish, which can be served with pork meat too. It is an important dish that signifies Hong Kong culture, as it is often served as a dish in many family reunions in Chinese restaurants. In Chinese grocer or butcher, we can usually see at least two kinds of pork. One of the most popular of these is the red color stripe of pork loin called char siu, a very Cantonese way of barbecuing pork loin. The other kind of pork is the golden colored crispy skinned roast pork, which is popular all over China and is not identified with any region. One general method to serve Chinese pork rinds is to cook it with cooking wine, then marinate it with seasonings. It is then air-dried in the fridge, roasted with salt to achieve the crispy effect. So we have to explore the popularity of using pork in dishes in Chinese cuisines before we will be able to know why roasted pork or pork rinds is such a popular dish. In the Chinese diet, pork is the most popular source of animal protein. This is because it is very nutritious with a relatively mild flavor. In addition, pigs are easy to raise and require little space to roam. In Chinese, the character home is composed of a roof with a pig underneath it. This shows the importance of pigs and porks in Chinese culture. Moreover, for pig farmers, their wealth is calculated in the number of pigs they raise and sell. For them, pigs are the financial security as there's always a demand for them. Pork rinds acts as a very important part in Chinese cuisines. The roast suckling pig, for example, is reserved for special occasions such as weddings, important birthdays, the christening of a new house for feng shui, which means good luck in Chinese, and the birth of a child, etc. Since in Chinese culture, pig symbolizes luck, that's why golden suckling roast pig are consumed in special occasions to reinforce good luck. Consuming roast pork and pork rind is not only prevalent in the older generation, but also in the younger generation. For instance, it is a tradition for uni students in the HKU to cut and serve roasted pigs, to wish for good luck before the exams in the end of semester. So let's move on to some interesting facts about pork rinds. So besides being consumed as food, pig skin can also be served for several purposes. This includes pig skin masks, which include rich collagen and improve the elasticity of our skin. Pig skin is also used to produce oil for direct consumption and industrial use. It is incorporated into fur, clothing, and many leather items too. It is widely used industrially due to its low cost compared to other animal skin. Lastly, pig skin can also save lives. It is often used as a temporary substitute for burnt skin, which involves a large surface area. So, I hope that after this presentation you will all have a better understanding of the consumption, culture, production of this amazing food product that we all love.